pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just made an observation. Next year we'll be able to see the flag.
Yeah, we might. I can step over there, I'm sorry. I could wear a flag-colored shirt, maybe. There you go.
Okay, we have an agenda before us. Are there additions to the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Motion by Rick,
Second.
second by Mort, to approve the agenda as printed. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We have minutes from 11:2 and 11:6.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from both meetings.
Motion by Jerry.
Second for both.
Approve the minutes from both 11:2 and 11:6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. I see nobody in the public who wants to talk to us, so we'll move along to, we got drainage here coming up lately, we got qualifications coming up. Let's see what we're gonna do. Through claims. Mort, I see you were studying real diligently, and Jerry's been studying them.
Claims were $136,059.68, and the drainage was $150,014.69.
Is that a motion, Mort?
Yep.
Okay, motion by Mort to approve the claims.
I'll second, go ahead, I'll second it.
Second by Jerry.
Still got a chance to look at
Any
it.
discussion on the claims? Take a look. There you go.
Look good, you're fine.
All those in favor of approving the claims as noted, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Authorize the chairman to sign certificate of cost allocations, cost advisory services.
Every year, Cost Advisory Services does a cost allocation plan for us, and there's 2 copies here if you guys want to look through them anytime. They do this every year for us. We have a contract with them for, I believe it's a 3-year contract. And part of the process is that they, this is a letter they wrote to go with it too, is that they state to you,
Oh, everybody's gonna...
Yeah.
it's the actual cost from June 30, 2015. Because of this, they claim 1/4 of the individual indirect cost amount, which is about $13,249.75. And then we don't approve the bill with this, it's approved by DHS. It comes out of the allocation we have for DHS in our county budget. So the total reimbursement for the year that the county should get back is about $17,490.
Yep.
Seems about the same dollars each year, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's that letter that goes with it.
And entertain a motion to authorize the chairman to sign the cost allocation plan.
So moved.
Motion by Bruce,
I'll second.
second by Rick. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, while we're waiting on to get Paul and get the drainage.
Those numbers even makes the bifocals strain for the...
Yeah.
Some of those...
They're so tiny.
I know.
They cram a lot of information in.
Like Paul's information.
I get a pair of cheaters and leave them in my drawer.
Mhm.
Let's do reports. Jerry, you got something?
All right. I had one meeting last week, Peggy. It was on Wednesday, November 4th, and it was our 9:30, IDDA board meeting over in Pocahontas. Stan Watney picks me up every time, so I save a little mileage, we talk farming, and then we get down to drainage when we get over there.
You regular?
Stan Watney, he just picks me up, and it works out nice, so I don't have to, both of us drive. Yeah. Went through our membership reports, and John's been making some county visits. He was in Webster County last month. He should be coming to Humboldt sometime here later on in the year. Financial report looks good, membership report's good. Talked a little bit about the Des Moines Waterwork lawsuit, and it's just, you know, it's gonna be an ongoing process, and with our appeals and responses and everything, so. We've had pretty good support for the funding of the lawyers, the fees, several counties did put $5,000 in for 3 years. Some of them only wanted to do a year at a time. I'm assuming maybe they're looking at it a year at a time, didn't want to overcommit, maybe they'll put in the next 2 years. And there was a couple of them that did 2,500. So that's going well.
Did we get Mitch from South Highway 20?
I was trying to find that page here.
See on the news this morning, it was talking about,
Where's that page?
they were after Fort Dodge to send in a report on how they removed nitrogen from their drinking water.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that lawsuit in Des Moines, they were,
Well, I can't, oh, here
I
it
think
is.
they were suing Fort Dodge for it to get it.
Well, let's
I don't know.
see.
That was something about that was gonna cost them $40-some thousand.
Everybody ought to share that, because if they don't,
We're good in north central Iowa, northwestern Iowa, I guess you get down, well, Carroll, that's still not, let's see, Dickerson, Franklin, Green, that's our area mostly. Okay, O'Brien, Mona, Palo Alto, that's Polk, it's got didn't say for how many years, but they did get 5 for the first year. Potawatomi, Sac County, Wayne, Wright and Worth, yeah. I mean, it's not everybody, but it was a good showing, and I'm sure all those counties probably have drainage, and that's why they're more than willing to help out.
It's interesting, Polk County's defending it, and the city's
Yeah,
filing it.
yeah, that is good, that is interesting.
You know,
That is good.
working both sides of the table.
Went a little over the pipeline, the one that's gonna go through Iowa. There's what I have in here is a copy of, because a lot of counties wanted something like this. It's basically a resolution on what they're, for the hazardous liquid pipeline. But Keith Denclaw says this is similar to what they used for their wind towers too. So I'm just gonna leave that here. If we get into discussion of that, we might follow somewhat. But Webster County's got a pretty good plan on protecting tile drainage lines and stuff. In fact, they're even, on this pipeline thing, they're even making them map out, what the improvements could be in the future for a district main going through there and how deep it would be, and they want that documented, and then that pipeline has to stay away, either below or above that, and they're making the pipeline pay for that survey to do that, where they're gonna go, just so they know in the future that it was discussed, at what level, who's
Yeah, 'cause
responsible
that-
for maintaining what.
That could
Good deal.
ruin your future drainage.
Absolutely, if you had to go underneath that thing,
Well,
the
you,
cost would be
yeah,
atrocious.
or you wouldn't have the elevation to go under.
Or not have the elevation,
And
so...
then if you had to go over it, then you...
So they're gonna
lose
make
distance.
them place that pipeline at its distance that's proper for future
That's
expansion. I think that was a great
Looking
idea.
forward.
So I kinda learned that from them. Waters of the US, that's looking like it's kinda slipping a little bit. I think that maybe that'll get, there's talk of that maybe not going through, so that would be probably a good thing if we could get that done. Nominating committee, there's 3 of us up for reelection. I'm on the committee, and 2 of them have already said that they would rerun, so that's good. Our annual meeting will be December 4th, again at Fort Dodge. Peggy's taking care of the registration, and so that'll be less than a month away now, so that's all I have.
Okay. Well, Tuesday at noon, I met with the freight company and picked up our new flagpole out there in the parking lot.
That's important.
I got it, the flagpole's at home in my shop, and I took the cement portion that goes in the ground down, and it's already cemented into the sidewalk down there.
Cool.
Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, met with Woodruff for bi-weekly construction meeting. Talked over a couple little items. We're still kinda arguing on the cost of this change order on the ramp. They're looking to be done the week of Thanksgiving, is what they claim. We did a little walkthrough this morning, and it's hard to believe that they'll be done by then, but
how come they haven't started on the windows? Looks like they're ready for those.
they are, yeah, it's a good question. They're, Webster Glass and Fort Dodge has got the bid on that, and they've been up and measured them. They've got the frames, I think, are going in this week, and then they'll put the glass in. I'm sure they don't wanna put them in and get them broke.
I wait until the...
Wait till everybody's...
Rain getting in there.
No, I think they do have them covered with some styrofoam and stuff. So Wednesday we had that, Thursday I was back in there, discussing a little, Dean wanted to change the sidewalk a little bit, and he wanted some rock, or he wanted cement all the way up to the building, and I don't know, I kept it to the original plan of 4 feet away from the north and 2 feet on the west. I just think it's gonna look a little nicer and keep people from walking into the flagpole maybe. And then, Saturday, I got a sheet from Trish to go up and look at a bulkhead up by Hardy there, just, is that by the railroad tracks?
Oh, is
East
that-
of Hardy.
Frieders?
Prelips.
Oh, Prelips, oh, that one, okay.
And I walked out there and looked at it, and the issue is, it's gonna be in the railroad right-of-way.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's right on the edge, but we'll have to dig into the railroad right-of-way to do any kind of repairs, so that's something I'll have to talk over with, Rick Hopper and that, or
That's the
somebody.
one Paul helped him.
Paul Larson, you mean, or Paul?
He farmed it, but Paul Jacobson, after the trial, he went and came down and talked to Trish about what they needed to do to get that looked at, but didn't realize it was in the railroad right away. That's not good.
According to where the fence is, it's in the railroad right-of-way.
I think
Is
Frieders.
it right on the fence line?
It's right on the fence line,
Yeah,
the cement bulkhead
we did
is.
that up there at Boone, didn't we?
And what they've been doing is
They
drive
repaired
around
it. We just went ahead and repaired it.
Really?
Yeah.
into the right-of-way.
Yeah, they worked into the railroad right away.
But they've gotten a little stricter on their
Well, they probably don't
liability
like,
insurance. and
yeah, they
stuff.
probably don't like us so much anymore either.
Huh.
But, what they're doing is they're driving their farm equipment through the railroad right-of-way around this bulkhead, and it's washing bad, and,
They can't get through it much longer.
No. it's
Is the
sucking bulk.
bulkhead in bad shape too?
The bulkhead looks like it's fine, but I look back in the tile, and the tile's broke back in a couple of feet, and then the water's coming out.
That's why it's cut underneath, kinda like it does on the north of Hardy. probably.
Yep, starting to come out.
Is that something made, just discovered in money in a kitty?
Well, yeah, but it probably run into more money that's in the kitty, but
I'm sure it'll be several $1,000s to fix it.
you can't let it go, or if the bulkhead fails, then we really got a cost.
Yeah,
right?
and I imagine that's the only way to get to that parcel of land, is to drive around that end. I was gonna say, it'd
I
be nice.
wondered what the problem was on that, 'cause they said something about getting to it, I couldn't figure out why they were having trouble getting to it.
The only other option would be to move the bulkhead further into the land, so they don't drive on the railroads right away, you know.
Which they may not be for, 'cause it takes more of their land, but it'd probably be the best.
Not really, it wouldn't, because
It wouldn't
you're
on
just,
there.
you're just filling in some of the drainage ditch, and then.
Oh, that direction.
You know,
Go
move
into
it.
the direction of the ditch, okay, sure, gotcha, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so, but it'll have to be taken care of, 'cause it's a problem.
Did you cross by the railroad tracks by my place and then go around to get in?
No, I pulled in where, Gold Eagle's Quonset was, Paul
Oh, just
Larson.
go across.
Paul Larson happened to be working there, so I stopped, we walked down there and looked at it together,
Okay,
and,
good.
yeah, it's, the biggest problem really is the erosion that's coming through there.
Yeah. Well,
To me, the simplest thing would be to move it downstream and
Get
then
away from the railroad property.
get away from the railroad property entirely and put new pipe from there through that new driveway, and
How big a bulkhead would that be? It's not.
it's not very big, it's only
What
like
would
a
be the cost?
20-inch clay tile coming out of there, then there's like a 12-inch clay that's plugged, full of
Well,
dirt.
would you need a bulkhead?
No, I don't
That's
think you
what
would.
I'm getting at.
I think you could just rip
I
wrap
don't
it.
think you need an engineer on that one, I think
Nope,
you just.
I think you go in there and put in some steel pipe and cover it with rock and put some
I think you're right.
dirt and some riprap on it.
'Cause we've got one up north of Renwick where that bulkhead failed, and it had a big 36-inch one, and we just ended up getting, the bulkhead was almost causing more of a restriction than anything, so we just got rid of it and tied that first section together, and I haven't seen any trouble yet.
I don't think a lot of water, surface water comes through there.
The thing to do is always to build a bulkhead on those things in the years past, but I think with good ballast, you can get away from that a little bit, you don't have that problem.
Yeah.
Is that something we can do, or is that something they're gonna have to hire done?
Well, it's something like a Marshall or
Marshall or
somebody will have
something
to
to
do
do
it, but definitely we wouldn't need an engineer on that. I don't think if we've only got that small a tile going through there.
No, I don't think we don't need an engineering report or nothing, just something needs to be
Just
done.
talk to Trish on it, see if we can get somebody assigned.
Mhm.
Let 'em- and you can sign and let them know that it needs to be done.
Bruce, you was probably asking.
But it would be nice
County
if-
boys to do, but they do it, they have to bill back, so just we'll hire somebody else.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, as busy as Marcel, he hasn't, there's several jobs that he's trying to finish up before fall, and I just thought if they had the ability to do that, whether we gotta bill it or not, it still has to be fixed.
Yeah.
So,
And rather than hauling rock, they could be doing something like this.
exactly.
Good point.
And then, getting in there with a dump truck full of dirt, and we got the dirt act pile, you know, I think we could do things a little more efficient.
We can add
We
more
probably could use
points
it.
to done.
Well, I would, on that drainage thing I had on last Wednesday, it was ran into Cassuth, and it's Humboldt Cassuth joint. And Cassuth had their main guy there, and then they must have 4 or 5 workers and a backhoe out there and dug up all this different places to try to locate the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all county boys that were doing it.
I'm sure they just build them back,
I don't know. I'd like to know how they do that up there. I should've asked them. They're gonna call me this week again, and gotta go back under, this time it'll be under a Humboldt County road. They're gonna dig up in the Cassuth, a hole in Cassuth County, and then they're gonna run a locator up.
Well, Doug Miller's our county engineer up there. I run into him once in a while to something at Algona Bishop Garrigan back to, if I see him, I'll ask him sometime about that, what they do, how they do that.
Yeah.
You best ask him direct.
Yeah.
Tell them it's cheaper when they dig on the Algona side, and we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
He made the comment this time it's on Humboldt County road.
Wouldn't you know?
I don't know.
I'll ask him sometime, Mort, I'll do
Yeah.
that.
That's all I have.
Again, but- Yeah, I just had that drainage, and I went up and looked at, spent about 4 hours up there, and then, Friday, we were all here and canvassed the vote, I guess.
I forgot about canvassing the road.
Yeah.
That's what I had was Friday, the canvas for the Thor election.
I'll see how his dad was doing.
Okay, on Wednesday, I had another daycare meeting. I don't think I have anything to report other than what we talked about last week. But I thought kind of a unique thing, that evening I had a school advisory committee meeting, and the school people were talking about some kits they made up to pass around all the daycares, and they're gonna do the same for this outfit, just to get going. And the reason for that, starting in 2016, third graders have to pass a certain test. If they don't become proficient at a certain level, then they have to go to summer school. If they don't go so many days of summer school with perfect attendance or unexcused absences, then they get held back a year.
Oh, finally.
So, that's in the works, and they're trying to work through the daycares to make sure these third graders can pass the test as they're already in behind. So it's kind of fitting together on the program that's coming about.
How about working at home too,
That might work,
you know?
yeah.
Parents and grandparents reading and with them like they used to.
That's where part of the problem is. The parents are so busy, they don't have time to go
Yeah.
take time.
Or they don't care.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the scary thing,
Didn't used to have to have daycares, because that happened.
right?
And then on Thursday, we had another wellness meeting, and we're moving along that pretty good. I think we're getting the final design done and see what it's gonna cost after the first of the year, but they don't wanna have fundraising for that and the daycare at the same time. It might scare people off. And Friday, we had the canvas vote. That was it. Okay. I think anybody got any, Peggy, you got anything for us?
No?
We're up to drainage. We have to have Rick here for Lisa, don't we?
Yeah.
I
He's
think
in
he's
the
out
other
there.
room.
Rick's here?
Mhm.
Yeah, vehicles out there.
Let's go out of general session into drainage.
I'll make a motion to go into drainage.
Motion by...
Mort, I'll second it.
By Rick?
Or
By
Rick.
Bruce. Okay, all in favor, go to drainage, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. You guys look like twins.
I can tell, I mean, we got similar colored shirts on, so I can see how you can confuse us.
My brother was vacationing in
Green,
Turkey, get tails, and I said, you're gonna miss the game Saturday, he's got his iPad with him, he's gonna watch it.
watch it that way.
Said, you go there, you sit in your room, and watch football games?
Yeah.
Watch that game.
All kinds of technology these days.
They had a good game.
Boy, in the end, it didn't act like they were really too scared of them, they hung right with them.
Yeah,
They were.
Morning, Rick.
Morning.
Rick,
Sheriff, we thought we'd go home early.
Oh, yeah, I won't take long today.
That's all right, we got all the time over.
All eight
Crops are harvested, right?
The first item we have, Rick, is DD 7 sub 3, accept commissioner's report, set hearing date.
I actually got,
Above it.
got DD
Six,
six.
I think.
DD 6,
Six
the other
first,
one
yeah.
above that, tile extension, I'm sorry.
Okay, this is the one where a petition was submitted for, the main tile of 6 in Branch B, and then there was a new petition submitted for the rest of the main tile. I'm gonna give you a sheet to remind you of what the first part was. What I handed you first is an extension from this one. Brent Penis farms a bunch of ground out there. This is one where, the petition was submitted, and I think the current landowner signed it, but the buyer submitted the bond for it, I believe. So, northwest of Thor, just a mile or a mile and a half. We're looking at parallel tile all the way to the end of the, existing main. These costs do not include the cost from the previous report. Now, this is one where there's a good chance we'll be bringing 2 reclassifications if this goes forward, because we'll want the people getting the most benefit paying a big share of this improvement cost. We've had that discussion recently about huge benefit by certain landowners and how do you get them assessed appropriately. We did 2 reclassifications for the big one in Humboldt and Dakota City. I mean, we've done it before. And I think that's probably the way to go. It takes very little time to have 2. We'll do one as if there's no special benefit for anybody. And then we'll do the second one where we really concentrate on that area that floods out 9 years out of 10.
Yeah.
And apply a factor, so. And it'll be one hearing, we'll review both of the reclassifications at that time, pass them. Trish should do the initial levy for the improvements using the one that's weighted heavily for the improved area. And then, as soon as that's done, she can switch over to the other one for future maintenance. This is a pretty spendy project here. Looked at the half-inch coefficient and the 1-inch coefficient. The half-inch coefficient came out way over $600 an acre, $669. Now, this is one of them, we're looking at maybe bidding optional plastic on it to help keep the price down. I just feel like they...
shallow.
Yeah, it's not a deep project. It's deep enough that they wouldn't damage the pipe with equipment, but not so deep that the plastic would be a problem.
Yeah.
I just feel like the concrete materials they're a great product, but they think they're not competing like they should.
They're getting a little expensive, put it that way.
Yeah, there you go. And I think that's because they're just not competing. Well, and I only think it's gonna get worse. Cretex was a big company, and they got sold. Somebody bought them.
So something's changing there.
Yeah, so they're an enormous company.
Are these cost estimates on cement?
Yeah, yep.
Well, I had too many conversations, I can't remember who it was now, right now, it'll probably come to me, but
Yeah.
visiting with somebody that had talked to Yumlin in Algona, and maybe it was you. Well, that's...
I knew what you were talking about, yeah.
But that's a testament when you've got somebody that's been doing the business, and he just said they've been experiencing using plastic more and more, and if it's put in right, and if it's, you put your fill underneath so it gets stable. That's all key, you have a good contract, you can't just shove it in the ground. And they're doing it with a spoon, there's another good...
Yeah, where it's good firm ground, you can use a spoon on the bottom.
Pretty well, and I think it's, you know, the plastic over the last 10 years even has really developed and changed the
Yes.
industry. It's a little better and a little more precise than it used to be.
It
In the beginning,
definitely is.
There was issues with squatting and,
Absolutely.
settling, and I think there's probably been enough changes on the reinforcement of the product. that it's
They
gotten
beefed it up a lot
And
in
they have
order
to
to
for those
compete.
larger, you
Yes.
go with 12 inches, you gotta start.
Yes.
Wouldn't there be a lot less compaction and disturbing of the ground too?
Oh, yeah, 'cause
Either.
the weight of hauling in
Yeah,
that concrete
just
on
the concrete wall.
semis.
True, that's true. Yeah, the semis do a lot of the
Cause you can
compaction.
haul 10 times as much plastic.
So then the other question is, are you seeing
Footage
contractors
wise.
asking us, or looking to... would
I've
like
had
to
a
see more
couple.
than- They're not afraid to put it in, is that...
Right,
is that
matter of
what I'm
fact,
asking?
yes. Who'd I just talk to
I'll probably
Thursday or
get the
Friday?
sales pitch December 4th.
We usually do.
What is,
Yes.
Well, and
is there a
think-
guarantee on that plastic that
Well,
it'll
there's-
hold or withstand the, I mean, the concrete speaks for itself.
Right,
But
right.
you're getting the same bang for your buck on the plastic versus putting it in.
The guarantee time is very short on any of these. Maximum we go is 2 years. Bonding gets to be a problem if you try and go longer. The biggest thing is the installation, getting it right, either with a spoon and firm ground and then probably rock over it or rock around the whole thing. Now,
The deeper they go, the more issues they have.
right.
And this is, what's the deepest cut on some of this, Rick?
10 feet maybe?
Okay, so that's a whole lot different than 29 feet out there on the ag well closure thing. I would
Exactly.
never wanna go that route yet on plastic out
Right.
there, but
Right.
in a deal like this where any local contractor can do a repair at 10 feet.
As a matter of fact, on that one, the plastic people ran through a design on their own, we didn't ask them to, and they came to us with it then to just show us where they could save.
Yeah.
But portions of that, they even said they wouldn't put in the plastic.
So they were at least admitting it's...
Yes.
When you go 30 foot of soil on top of something.
Yes, yeah, these guys were, I think that's what they were
We
hinting
were getting
about.
Yeah, we'll get the sales pitch
Yeah,
down there.
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
in some fairness, it's no different than when we're starting to see concrete versus asphalt on road projects.
Oh, yeah.
You change with
It
time.
opens,
Exactly.
well, it opens the door for more bids. I mean,
Yeah, the technology
I'm afraid
changes.
too, we get less bids on concrete all the time, and Cretek's basically been getting most because of the location of the
What is,
transportation
what's
costs.
the length of those?
Weight-wise, now you can haul this plastic for a long way,
Oh,
large
yeah.
amounts.
Large amounts, quite a
Without
distance,
adding
yeah.
to the cost.
And they have plants around the Midwest here that they wouldn't be
We're
hauling that
talking
far.
almost $700
It's a mile and a half.
on half inch. You
Yeah.
better look at all that, at least
Yeah.
the landowners can have a
Yeah.
voice in it.
Right, that's right.
Yeah.
And if it only accomplished the first year or two to get the concrete price down significantly, that's worth its weight in gold.
They ain't a whole lot there to see 1 inch
Are
and
these prices all based on...
half inch.
Yes, that's all
Ain't a whole lot
concrete.
there.
When you don't have any grant money involved, you get twice the drainage for not many bucks.
Mhm.
And now when the grants are involved, it's really strange. I remember
would
the
that be?
first
I don't
one.
understand.
Well, you get the same amount of grant money whether you do a half-inch
Oh, yeah.
coefficient or 1 inch.
That's right.
And we've done 2 or 3 of those where the half-inch is almost exactly half the cost of the 1 inch, but it's because of that difference in grant money. So, yeah, when you don't have any grant money involved, some of these come out shockingly
So
close.
do they have the ability to choose plastic or the...
Well, we would have that
We would
discussion.
make
I know we do, but
Yeah.
do they get to voice, the
They
landowner?
voice their opinion and we...
Good to hear opinions,
Right, that's what
yeah.
I'm saying.
In the past, everybody's kind of favored concrete.
Right.
Mhm.
Because of the depth and...
Oh, the depth and water conditions and,
But
yeah.
the problem being here on this one is you're only talking 882 acres.
Yeah,
That's why the
it's not
cost
very
is so
big.
high.
They're paying for...
This was 1,600 acres or something, it would be a little better.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
This is a
so
long
I'm,
time.
did I get clear, 'cause I'm not clear yet, Rick, on
Yep.
this. This cost estimate on the half and the inch is for the original request from Sandmids and on that project, or does this include the last one from the new landowner?
This, yes,
This
yes.
includes that?
Yes, yes, it does.
The map,
Okay,
I mean,
so-
our map is the original map, that's why I was wondering, but it doesn't show any...
This one here is the what?
In the back, it's in a different drawing, but it's...
This map isn't the same as this one though, right?
It's a continuation.
That's
You
what
know,
you're saying, so
yeah.
this one continues on the top end of this map?
Right.
That's what I wanted to
The
make sure.
independent sheet I gave you,
Okay.
if you start at the top right corner of the red line,
All right,
that's where the new report
Here?
starts.
Start here?
No,
No,
over
up
top
top.
right, yeah, there where she is, that's the main,
It goes up in one.
yeah.
So where does this fit in, Trish? Where does this one?
That
fit?
is,
That
Right
butts
here.
up right
Is this
against
part
it.
of- oh, okay, it's a continuation going back.
I would've loved to use this for both of them, but it doesn't go far enough. I couldn't get it on
Okay, I
the
see
sheet
what
the
you're
right
saying.
size.
So this is really on top of it, and this is
Yeah.
the new proposal.
New proposal.
But this
Yeah.
report includes both of these maps.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
that's
yes,
what I want.
correct.
You gotta work a mile and a half of tile there.
Yeah, it's a lot of tile. That's the thing, a lot of,
This is just, the
Well-
report's just the extension,
yeah, you already approved the report for the other part.
so this is just.
Yeah, that's just really big.
Yes, yes,
So the dollars involved in here is just for this extension?
yes,
This part.
yes,
So there'll be more dollars for this?
right,
Well,
right.
that's what I was getting.
Oh, okay,
This
yeah.
isn't showing the
Yeah,
dollars.
this is- yeah.
That's what I want.
And I'll have all that.
So you're working on
summarized.
another report for this
$1 million
addition?
for the extension.
So the landowners are gonna get some more bill.
Yeah, yeah,
So will
yeah.
the landowners in this one be involved in both on the?
Good God, yeah.
They won't be involved in branch B at all. See, so it gets a
Branch
little,
B
Those from-
just the
be
people on
assessed
branch B will pay
separately
for
from
branch
this.
B. Correct, yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
this report.
So then my next question really is,
Plus the others for the other.
my real question is then, with this proposal here, and basically know why they want it, because it's to help drain that 400 acres more.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Will that reflect a fair share of expense to that 400 acres, so that the rest of them aren't overburdened?
Yeah, you're not charging
Yes.
the neighbors to drain your...
Right, right, right. That's why
And
I'm
what
saying,
we would be able to look at differently that will help, because this is this will be new tile line in here?
Yes.
It never existed before?
oh, no, we're paralleling existing.
Okay, but I'm wondering, are we gonna be able to get enough cost on the one that proposed the thing to make it fair,
Yes.
and try and do a little better job than we did on the last one? I mean,
Yes.
I think we're getting in that direction, but it
Yes,
needs
yes.
to be, I think Rick and
Yeah.
I strongly feel it needs to be addressed ahead of time.
And that's why-
Especially in these small
Yes,
drainage
yes.
areas where one landowner can push it through and...
And that's where I think,
Drain his farm.
if I was gonna say a number now, that I think those,
On this part,
yeah, 2,000 an acre for the land needing a divorce would not surprise me a bit.
see, this is what everybody needs to know up front, because what's
Yeah.
really happening here in my mind, and it's just because everything's getting bigger and we're replacing more and more of these old
Mhm.
tile lines. When you stick that average cost on it, 600, everybody starts assuming, well, I'll be close to that no matter what. Well, they need to know up front if it's gonna be 2,000 and the average is 800.
Yeah.
They
Yes,
need to know
that's
that.
right.
The
Yes.
petitioner needs to know he's gonna get assessed that kind of money.
Yes, yes. I mean, that,
'Cause, I mean, we're not gonna do this anymore, 'cause...
oh, no, you gotta hit the people getting the benefit. And I think
We do.
most of them we did all right, like 61, where Struthers were paying 1,500 to 2,000 an acre. I mean, I think we
Well,
accomplished
do you
what we
think we
wanted
did all right
to.
out here east of town then?
I think we ended up okay,
I
but,
mean, it was so hard to determine what you could do, other than if you'd assessed more in the beginning on the one that put the petition on. I don't know what you do differently otherwise.
yeah, that,
I don't
and
know.
when, the next one we're gonna talk about, there's gonna be a supplemental or a special billing sent on a situation there. But that won't work very good on something like this, because you have
Another
trouble
one we're talking.
coming up with the mathematical reasoning on why you wanna charge them a special billing. This one we're gonna talk about after bit.
Well, I mean, I think
Easy.
we all understand, you look at the classification of land, you look at the corn suitability to some degree, you look at what the soil types are. But all that being said...
They're not
when
equal
you-
acres.
No,
Right.
when you go to
Just get the
start
numbers the
tiling
same.
all these acres out, some of the poor soils are doing just as good as the good
Oh,
quality
yeah.
soils. So you lose a little bit of that distinction on the soil
Yeah.
types, because you're making that good soil by draining it.
Well,
That wetter soil that always holds water, if it's got good tiling, it's gonna make a bigger impact on that than if you had a piece of good soil that doesn't need the tile.
That fits perfect with
I'm trying to
what I
explain
heard
it. I'm
late
not
last
saying that's
week,
the best, but-
where Yemlin tiled Kenny Nielsen's out here, where
Right.
we had that serious discussion on how to handle that.
Right.
He is so sold on it, he's got him doing another big field.
Oh, yeah, they're doing 2 or 3 already.
Yeah, I mean, it pays, but they should be paying their share up front then for the improvement, and that's what we're gonna try and
And the point
accomplish.
being, anybody can go out pattern tile their ground, but if you don't have an outlet...
Exactly.
That's where the problem
Exactly.
is on a lot.
Yes.
But as more people pattern tile, you're using up more of that main outlet. So
Yes.
you see other people that have average tile less effective.
True.
This tiling is becoming a big part of farming.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big issue.
And you're right, I've heard that
Big issue.
from several farmers where they say they can make not as good a land pay
That's what
by
I'm
tiling
saying.
it.
That's what's really
Yeah.
happening.
You can buy land cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
tile it, and make it very productive.
And
Yes.
many investors will have the capability of doing that, and that's
Yes,
why
they
they're
will.
doing the tiling.
That's right.
You're
That's right.
running parallel to another tile?
Yes.
Is that to replace that other tile?
We haven't decided if we're gonna try and keep that. Right now, I think we're gonna try and use the capacity. I believe the bad part of the tile is in an area we're bypassing
Yeah,
now.
right.
That's what I thought.
I think the rest of this
Going
is
this direction.
acceptable condition.
one right there.
We'll
Yeah.
verify
That was
that.
the bad one.
Matter of fact, we're out there today
Okay.
exposing the
So we're not
tile
gonna
to
go-
get exact
we're not gonna go along that one.
location and elevations.
Are they moving, keeping that on the east side of the road or the west side, the one that runs north?
We're going on the west side
This is
now.
the
Why
one
does
where
it
we
matter?
Yeah.
On the east side.
Telescope.
Yeah,
I'm
we
not
changed
sure.
that.
I thought we did.
After the
Right there.
initial report was submitted, because it was in the east road ditch, it was breaking all the time, there were holes in it all the time.
Is that the one we're talking about right here, that one that had all the broken tiles?
The one that went north-south along the road, yeah.
This is the one that was in the ditch?
Yeah.
Okay, that has the trouble.
Yeah.
And we also had some issues on this one around here, didn't we?
Yes.
We cleaned out trees, and we
Yes.
cut trees out. and-
Fence line there,
Fence
where
line we cleaned up.
that one stops and that one starts, that's
Yeah.
at that fence line where you already did some work
Right
removing
here,
trees.
okay.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, there's some history on this. So basically, today, I'm submitting this and then need to set a hearing date.
Some of this on that bulkhead too, Rick, that we had,
Yes.
Yeah,
Marshall fixed it, it's the same one,
Yeah.
maybe down here too, right? Rick?
yeah, that's right where that bulkhead is.
And we're bypassing the bulkhead with
So we're gonna
this
fix
iron.
this new one with the new tile.
Yes.
Which is good, because there's probably enough going on in that bulkhead.
That's
Yeah,
right.
there's enough.
I mean, we got it
That's
fixed
right.
now, it looks great.
Yes.
Let's not overload that
No,
thing.
where it's very easy for us to just go slightly downstream, outlet with an
That makes
apron.
more sense.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, and that's included in the estimates I've given you for the previous one and this.
So, before we move on, I know I'm asking all the questions.
That's right, that's a good thing.
So when you have this report here, at the half inch and inch,
Mhm.
and the cost, I mean, it don't look like a very big piece of tile line, but it's gonna be.
I know.
But that being said, do you feel comfortable the average price on here is gonna be relative to these, like these 882, I mean, will there be a wide distinction in this one, or more distinguished wideness on price variances? I mean, will you see some of that here too?
You'll see some of this too,
But
because...
not probably as great as you will on this
Yeah,
one, correct?
because the first third to half of this, you're not getting into the ground that needs it desperately.
That's just more of a relief
Yeah.
line from other...
Yes,
three.
yes, yes.
This first report here, the whole thing, you're not getting into as much.
Right.
This is more for a relief to get everybody some added, I mean, to get more.
This'll get half inch to everybody, but we're gonna hit the, however many acres it is, I've heard different numbers, but,
Okay.
the acreage that drowns out regularly will be hit really hard on...
Okay, so there will be, we
Yes.
will compensate it that.
Yes, yes, yes.
But this one here will pretty much parallel the existing one
Yes.
also, and that
Correct.
tile isn't that it's in so bad a shape here, right?
Right, the bad shape
It's just
stuff
that
was
they don't
on
have
the lower part.
capacity and we need to get
Exactly.
more water drainage.
Very limited capacity.
All right.
Yes.
This one will be more of a major improvement because we've got all kinds of issues of.
All kinds of
water
issues.
drainage.
Yeah, that was the whole idea with that one, get rid of the worst issues.
So
Yeah.
I'm good with
I'm good,
separating these
yeah.
two out, aren't you? I don't
Yeah.
I didn't want these thrown together. That's what I was afraid
I
we
didn't
would have
either.
to do, is look at these as one project, and I don't think that would have been fair either.
Well, I'd like to let it as one.
Well, I don't have a problem with that.
Oh,
We're
it is
saying
as one.
as far as
Okay.
how
Oh,
they're
yeah.
classified.
Oh, yeah.
This came in later than this.
Right.
And for a different reason. I just
Right.
don't feel that we should have
Yeah, I
classified
think
the
it
two
should be
together.
bid as one.
Because I
Yeah,
think
you
you got a
gotta
little
have
more,
a price.
I think you got a little more room to separate these costs versus these where they need to be.
Yes.
That's all.
We can work with that, absolutely.
But yeah, bidding them together is ideally.
Yeah, get more quantity in
So
there.
you will specify specs on plastic then?
Yes, yep,
I'm sure
yep.
there's some things they need. Tell us on plastic what's gonna be in that contract as far as placement, rock, I mean, tell me
Okay,
what you're gonna specify in that
we will,
contract.
we'll have at least two cross-sections of what the ditch is gonna look, or the ditch to accept the tile is gonna look like, because it'll depend on the soils conditions.
Okay.
If we have bad soil conditions, we're gonna insist on a certain depth of rock under the tile, all around the tile, and up
And these are standards that are used in plastic?
Yes,
that have been
yes.
approved, okay.
For a while, they came up with their farm design, agricultural design for plastic,
Yeah.
where they weren't calling for rock and things.
But we will on that?
Absolutely, we will, yes. Now, if it's stable soils, which we're hoping for, the spoon method will be allowed, but I'm thinking we'd still want rock on top.
I would prefer that.
I mean, around the sides and on top.
Yeah, the top half and above, yeah,
And now is that basically the whole length of the plastic, or
Yes.
just at the seams? Okay.
whole length.
So tell me a little more about how the seams are put together on these, is it any different? I mean, they're in
They're-
sections, how
They're
does that entail?
gasketed joints,
Like a bell tile?
yeah, that's,
So they
only
are-
it's not
It's
very
an
thick.
awning kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Would that be more than a 2-inch lip on those?
I think it's almost 4.
Okay, 'cause I would think they're more than concrete, but...
Yes. It's
So
quite a bit
those
more.
are- And when they slide together, is there any locking mechanism, or they just slid together and you hold them in place by
I think
pressure?
they're just slid, I don't believe you have to release anything.
So
to
then
get
there's
them apart.
no, is there any wrap that has to go around?
No.
Like, so that's
No,
eliminated?
that's eliminated, so.
But you're
no,
looking
it's-
4 inches on those?
Yeah, and it might be more than that.
You find out and let us know.
Yes.
I'd like to know
Yep.
more about
And
that.
I've seen their samples and
I think that
everything.
awning kind of holds them in.
Well, I think it probably does, but,
Yeah.
Snapped in.
And it's, there's so much overlap, there isn't any way it can shrink enough to cause a problem with the joint. I
well, and
mean,
then putting rock around it too will help.
Yes.
kind of Stabilize.
And these are large pipe, 36-inch and
Yeah.
42-inch pipe.
Yeah, yep.
Do
That's
they
what make
come in-
them.
Do they come in 10-foot sections or 8?
8, I think you can get them in 10, but the typical is 20.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
20.
Yeah.
Which would be better?
It used to be 12 and 20 and,
20 would be better. 'cause
Yeah.
that's half as many
Do they use concrete junction boxes then, I wonder? I'm assuming?
they make a plastic one, I still like the concrete for junction boxes. What they do is they pour it in concrete, and then there's a rubber gasket in the hole, so they just push it in, and it's watertight.
I would be that way too, I think, 'cause
Well,
then
it's pretty good.
you kinda got a little,
Fort Dodge.
in between
Yeah,
that plastic,
yeah.
to help hold things close together, you have to work on it. If that thing gets damaged, you'd have a mess.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh,
So I
yeah.
don't think I'd want plastic junction.
I think you guys bring it down Fort Dodge at the drainage meeting, they'll have
Yeah.
all kinds of answers.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
So we have
Yeah.
a discussion on DD6 main extension. If not, we need to accept the engineer's report and set a hearing date. How many days we have to offer that, Rick?
40
40?
minimum, so you usually go 6 weeks.
Bruce, did you have any questions or thoughts on this, any of this? Okay. Oh, come on. Just because Rick
If
and I
I
are
do
down
that for the
there,
first year,
you're arrested.
Well,
getting close.
I think it'd be a good idea, because I'd like to let these in January. Perfect timing to bid them.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
Before everybody gets things lined up. and
That's
they know if
right.
they got the contract or not.
That's right.
So once they start awarding more contracts.
You got, what, 21 left in November?
we probably gotta go clear out to the 21st of December,
so,
don't we?
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's 6 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which would be
Yeah.
21st or 28th,
We got one
or
on,
after Christmas.
we got one on the 14th, right?
Yep.
That's number 7.
And, but I'm gonna ask you to consider moving that to the 14th, because my second report I'm giving you today is the reclassification for sub 307, and we need a hearing on that. So I would like you to consider moving the hearing on the annexation to the 14th, and setting the hearing for the reclassification on the 14th, for 307. And then you could do this one too.
Move all that to the 21st.
Yeah.
Is that 40 days?
Is that 40?
Yeah, it's 42, I think.
Okay.
Isn't it 6 weeks? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Need a motion to accept the engineer's
I'll
preliminary
make
report and set the hearing date for December 14th, and you got a time in mind?
Well, just a quick talk through, if you did, if you reset the one for the sub 307 for 9, did the sub 307 reclass at 9:30, and the 6 one at 10? Does that work? What do you have on, do you have anything on the 21st yet?
or the 14th?
No, we're on the 21st.
21st.
What did we change, 21st?
Yeah.
Roll that to 21st?
Yeah, would that work, Trish, for you?
10 o'clock.
Hunky dory.
So 10 on this one.
All right,
That
I'll
works
make a
good.
motion to accept the preliminary engineer report for DD 6 and hearing for December 21st at 10 o'clock.
Is there a second?
14th or 21st?
No, we changed it to 21st. Does that give you 42 days or 49 days then?
42, isn't
Okay,
it?
that's
Just
enough.
42?
All right.
Because they're not real big as far as
No,
notice.
but a half hour's about right, you need
Yeah.
that sometimes.
Hearing on
Anything
number
else on
6
that day?
at 9.
Nothing.
Is there
I'll second the motion.
Hearing number
Okay,
on
motion
number 6
second
at
to set the
9.
hearing date, September 21st at 10 o'clock.
For 6.
10 o'clock.
All those in favor of accepting the preliminary engineering report and setting hearing date as such, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, DD 7, sub 3.
Okay.
A lot of drainage again.
Yeah, and we got 3 reclassification hearings coming up here
You
soon.
gotta notify the landowner,
Yep,
Trish gotta do
yep,
that.
the notice, just as a reminder, the notice has to be mailed at least 20 days ahead of the hearing, and it has to be published at least 20 days ahead of the hearing, so that's why she has...
That's why we need the full.
Yeah, that's why you need the 40, 'cause
Yeah.
it takes a week or two to get it
Well, I
taken
know,
care of.
yeah.
Okay,
So this should give us time to still get bids out sometime in January, because I do think that's becoming more crucial, because you're running into so many people doing contract work.
Yes.
What happens is, I think, and you guys know it too, but, you know, if those guys get bids and they accept a contract, well, then all of a sudden, they're not so willing to bid on the next one if they're filled up, because sometimes they're gonna overlap on the time.
That's right.
The sooner we get our bids out, the better
That's right.
are we getting more people interested.
exactly.
Because these are getting to be pretty big projects.
Oh,
We'd like to
absolutely.
have at least 4 or 5 contractors.
Absolutely, I mean, we used to get that, it's just they get busy with other work.
That's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen again this year, just like...
Wouldn't plastic push that along a lot faster versus concrete?
Well, I think we're gonna get a lot, I think we're gonna get a lot of
You think it
numbers
goes
in bidding that because of
Yeah.
that reason.
And all the
Mhm.
contractors do plastic and
I would say yes, and we'll talk to anybody that asks for plans about what they've done with the plastic.
I think that's what we
Or
should
if they
do.
have
Everybody-
experience with it.
Right.
That's what they've
We don't
done,
want
yeah.
this to be their first job.
Yeah.
Right,
Exactly.
right,
I don't want somebody out there, oh, I think I know how to do it.
yeah, oh, I know.
I might buy that.
Oh, my.
Let's see, where's that instruction book?
Yeah.
update.
Sub 3 of 7, is the district where, they tiled an area in sub 5 of 11 into it.
Oh,
I don't know if we had that, or...
I'm trying to think what,
yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
how do I describe this? So basically, all of this tile was added to drain this 80 into sub 3 of 7. We filed an annexation report for that. This is, I think Bruce Hefty may have come in, he's the tenant on this. So we filed the annexation report, but the land then also needs to be classified. So, what we've done is we've reclassified sub 3 of 7 to include this land. And the thought was that the people that did this tiling should pay for the annexation, and the related work, but
To get into this district,
to get into this district.
okay.
And then the remaining cost for the reclassification would be shared by everybody.
Okay.
So I've estimated that this would have cost about $3 an acre for the reclassification part, and that's why you see the odd number down here for the total amount, $1,381. My office manager came to me and said, why that number?
Okay.
But it's $3 an acre times the benefited acres. And then the balance of the cost will be done by a special billing to the landowner of this 80. This one we can split out real easily. Trish and I talked about this last week, and I figure at least that's the cleanest way to go with this.
Okay.
But what you see before you then is the single page dealing with each parcel, the landowner, the description, and then the benefit. And the amount they'd be paying in total assessment is basically to cover the reclassification.
Well, the scheme of things, the big map up there, where do you...
Oh, I have trouble picking that one out, isn't it?
3 of 7.
Up in ways, right?
Right here.
Take it.
Here's District 7 Main, right here.
Have we sent checks?
Here's Rutland. The outlets, the main outlet's just northwest of Rutland.
Checks or loans?
And we go up a ways till we get to it. Here's Bradgate, so it's basically straight east of Bradgate, about 4 or 5 miles. And the 80 we're talking about is right here.
And what is this damage?
They annexed the whole thing.
Separate from...
We're annexing the whole thing because they tiled it all in this 3 of 7.
Before they annex.
You know,
Right.
reduce crop again this
They got the cart ahead of the horse.
Exactly. I've got a question for somebody about that, just recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do they do that?
Well, I said,
They can hear it.
they just said it was easier to ask forgiveness
I told them,
than ask permission, so I said, because, well, one of my commissioners wants to tile into an adjoining district, and wondered how they go about that. And I said, the only right way is to
Yeah.
ask permission to do that, and the board will have us look at how that will affect the district, and whether it should be acceptable or not. Here, it's too late, it's already done, but we're trying to correct that by getting them included in assessments for sub 3 of 7. Now, unless they petition for it, they'll still be paying as much in the sub 5 of 11 as they are now.
petition out of that, you mean?
Yeah, if they want a petition for reclassification of sub 5 of 11.
Which they could, I
They
suppose.
could,
Have they indicated it?
no. And I do not,
They really wanted to get in this district.
yes,
This work.
yes, better outlet. I do not mention that to them, of course.
No.
Yeah.
Because they've caused
No,
some costs here.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they already got people unhappy, and you don't need to add more.
Right, exactly.
Do we have other discussion on
That'd be quite a few acres, didn't it? It's quite a few acres, that annexed in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
There was more than what you think.
Yeah, that's
Would've
right,
thought
because there were others around the edge
that
that
were
we're not
needing it.
paying too, so we got them all taken care of. And this is the one where I'd like to have you consider delaying the hearing on the annexation a
Oh,
week.
that's right.
Till that
So
same
that-
week.
Yeah, so that you can have the hearing on the annexation, and then the hearing on the reclassification.
At the same time.
At
Yeah.
9 and 9:30.
Right after each other.
Yeah.
14th, right?
No, 21st.
We made it all back to 21st, yeah.
Okay,
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the commissioner's report, set the hearing date on December 21st and we'll have one at 9 and 9:30, is that what we said, Trish? The one first, the hearing
Annexation
first,
of the owned,
yes, and then what did we say, what's the other part?
Yeah.
The
Reclass.
reclass, thank you,
okay.
at 9:30, I'm sorry, daydreaming
okay, we
here.
have a motion, do we hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rick. Those in favor of accepting the commissioner's report and set the hearing date, December 21st, 9:30, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We're to DD 125.
Or, did that include resetting the other one? I wasn't not
Yeah,
listening to
yeah,
it.
oh, correct, yeah,
Okay,
she's
sorry.
changed it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good,
She's gonna write it up, so it sounds good.
all right.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Trish gave you pay estimates for 125 is what you were getting to there.
Okay, let's get this together.
You'll see pay estimate for Denver and a pay estimate for Cretex. They're nearing the end, out there really.
Everything's still going good?
Yeah, the only thing, they've used a lot of extra rock, 'cause it could not believe all the unstable soil that was hit.
Yeah.
But we want it right no matter what, and that's what the contingencies are for, is for this kind of thing. So, yeah, they're doing well. The foreman out there's been real apologetic a couple times while he got pulled off to come into Humboldt and work on sewer services. And then he got pulled back over to their home area for a couple of days last week. But they're down, oh, golly, I don't know the distance from that road, but...
Oh, probably 8 to a mile.
Yeah, probably. So they're almost down to that south road, so...
And then fences are tiled into it.
They did get tiled, okay. I'm glad you mentioned that, 'cause, what's his first?
Melvin.
Melvin Benz called last week and wondered about, we'd put some risers in various locations, so that farmers could tie into them, and they wanted a location on one, so...
They could hook into it already.
Yep, it worked out that we could send our guy down there the day they called and give them the actual location, because we had all that by GPS. So, and they had a Tyler coming over there even as we were speaking.
Are the added costs of the rock staying within the contingencies?
Yes, yep,
Okay.
yep, we're gonna push it though.
$36,310.80, is that correct?
I didn't,
For
Yeah.
pretext?
yep. And you can see that gets them supplying 94% of the pipe. So they're getting close.
Okay, sure, why not?
Hey, Paul.
Entertain a motion
We're
to
on.
approve the pay
We're on.
estimate
We're on.
number 6 for pretext concrete. $36,000.
I'll make, go ahead.
So move.
Motion by Bruce,
I'll second.
second by Rick. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. We also have a pay estimate to Denver Underground, and that is the amount of $73,647.
Yes. And we show them 93% complete.
So we're getting close.
Yeah, we're getting there.
This has been a good project, the weather was good, for as deep as we had to dig, we're very fortunate we didn't run into problems.
That's for sure.
That's what I wondered if we did that.
Very fortunate.
Right?
That's
For as deep as we've had to dig, you know, when the three of us went out there and watched them dig and how deep they were, and what little water was running in, we're very fortunate, as dry as it was.
Oh.
And this project really probably
Yeah.
saved a lot of problems and
Yeah,
issues for
yeah,
everybody.
Yeah.
You don't get it dry,
But
but
also, also Denver, they did an excellent job because they were backfilling as they...
As they went.
Kept it right up
They
close.
did, I mean,
Yeah.
their work site was maybe 100 yards long.
Yeah, they kept
You know.
everything
They
close.
put the plugs in, they put the paper on, they got the
Yeah.
rock, you can see the rock set out all across the
Have what?
farm.
The laterals.
Yeah, the one, there's one
Hopefully
fairly
we'll
big
get it
lateral.
hooked up.
Yeah, part of that's in,
Something, but it always is something.
yeah,
But they've done a good job.
yeah, they've hit, and they do their,
Motion to do pay estimate number 6 to Denver Underground.
I'll make the motion for pay estimate number 6.
Motion by Rick,
second.
second by Mort. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Other discussion for drainage this morning?
I
Got
wanna-
that for you, Rick?
Yeah, just quickly.
No, you take your
Take
time.
more than 2 minutes.
No, you take more, we're gonna crowd Paul a little bit. I got 3 questions,
Yeah.
Oh.
Two or three, yeah.
This is a new detail, we're replacing our 15-inch intakes with what I'm calling an area drain. We're gonna put in,
Upside down.
we're gonna put in, real close laterals and tie them into the main instead of a surface intake. This will do a lot to eliminate concerns from people like Des Moines Waterworks.
Oh, rather than just getting the surface...
Rather than
runoff.
taking the surface water, we're gonna make the low area drain by putting in lots of tile in close proximity.
Like 10 feet apart?
Yeah,
Really?
yep.
So you're running into a 6-inch feed line,
Yeah,
right?
6-inch feed, then ties
And what is it,
into
just
our...
4-inch on the laterals?
Yes,
Is it
yeah,
4?
yeah, 4-inch on the
Mhm.
laterals, yep.
Depending how long the wet spot is, I suppose how far
Right,
you're going.
see, we can vary this lengths and all that.
Yeah,
But
What do you-
this size...
What do you say by a
Yeah.
factory tee, it'll be built into the 6-inch line?
Yeah, well, the T...
Or is a factory T cut into there?
Yeah,
Okay.
factory T for the
Tap it on the
plastic.
end,
Yeah.
so all this is gonna drain is that low spot.
Yeah, it's all it's gonna drain is the low
So
spot.
basically, you're just getting rid of the above-ground intake and making it underground.
Exactly. That's a perfect description. And the second one I have on you is, with that is how they tie into the main. That if they have to come up with it, that it's either on undisturbed ground or there's rock around it. This is, I haven't got this in our preliminary reports yet, but it's going in our designs.
So this would be that 6-inch line going into the main, is that
That's
what
right.
you're showing me?
Yes, that's what you're seeing there.
And then the 4 inches would feed off the 6-inch?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
I got a dumb question here. A lot of times these, like you say, these intakes are huge. Obviously, that's not gonna take the water near as fast,
Right.
and that was the purpose of the intakes.
The other thing I'm doing, and you'll see this in your appraisal reports, is I'm going to try to get approval to put a half an acre, grass buffer around the 36-inch intakes we put in.
In the future?
Yes, in future bids, that's what I'm trying to do with it.
36-inch ones?
Yeah.
Okay, on top of a 36-inch
Yeah,
main?
we usually only have one or two of these 36-inch intakes on a job. It's just...
Yeah, there's not very many.
It's just, if it's a gigantic pothole, we might put this in.
Sometimes what you see, and Rick knows this too, you'll see a 24-inch orange tube on there, but it's feeding into an 8.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little deceiving, not always,
Yeah.
but you do see that sometimes, so that's a little deceiving.
And often, if the goal is to drain the pothole, I mean, even if that 36-inch intake only goes on an 18 or 24-inch pipe, it'll still collect a lot more water. I mean, it
Yeah.
starts to get plugged, and then you lose capacity, so...
Well, it draws a lot of soil
Yeah.
sometimes, and that's why...
And the idea with this buffer is to catch the corn
Now,
stalks and...
wouldn't there be NRCS funds available?
I think we
Because
should look at
I've done this
that.
on mine. I think you need to talk to Doug or somebody
Yep.
on it, because what I did on a conservation project on mine, we had 2 intakes fairly close together, water constantly moved through there, and, you know, it drowned out or whatever. Well, I just got so tired of the dirt sucking, even the dirt sucks on the outside of the tile, you know, it gets pulling so much dirt, you know, it tries to get into the tile,
Mhm.
into the tile underground. So we put a grass buffer thing around there, probably 30 to 40, 60, probably 60 feet all the way around it, you know, so
Mhm.
60 feet from the first tile, and then there's the tiles between, and then another, so it's probably 180 by 60. And you know what, it just eliminates the
Oh,
soil
yeah.
erosion, and I think we're getting paid whatever that amounts to. There's a little, I think we get paid every year for,
Oh, okay.
I think there was a program like that. Now, maybe it doesn't exist anymore, but
Well, it's worth
it was a good
pursuing.
program.
What depth would the 4-inch laterals be at?
3.5 to 4 feet, 3.5 to 4.5 feet, I have in the note
I see
above.
it. Yeah, I see it there.
I wanna get it where it's doing the most good, you know.
So is this something that's been being done already, or is this something?
Yeah,
there's
NRCS in Dickinson County is experimenting with this. They
What's the good
just
idea?
got some grant money. I haven't seen their detail, I just worked this out myself last week.
Bruce, you see what they're doing, you understand what's, it makes
What's
sense.
the distance of those laterals?
Well, it depends on how long the wet spot is.
How big
Just
of an area
vary.
you're trying to drain, I imagine?
The key is it's every 10 feet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're right, it probably won't pull it quite as quick as
Yes,
a...
yes.
But I could see this could be coming with all the changes in
Oh, yeah, we're
water
getting
quality.
pressure from...
This wouldn't be a change, this would be going forward on new projects.
Yes.
Eliminate some of the ones maybe that are there and do this
Yes,
as we go
yes,
through them.
yes, correct.
It'd be easier on Trish when she's out cleaning those intakes.
Yeah, getting corn stalks out, right?
Oh, I like to see that.
See, it says typical 50 feet
Yeah.
long, so that would be a,
variable.
yeah. Well, this kinda makes sense, there's a guy, there's a farm over by Renwick, just on the blacktop in Renwick, and they had discovered they had a 10-inch, I think a 10 or 8, no, 8 and a 10-inch tile running right along the ditch there, but and there was only one intake there. Well, it was complete, you know, it plugs up.
Oh, sure.
Well, they went in there and they ran a lateral along there, and they ran, these are the ones running crosswise through there about every 50 feet, but they put enough of them in there, it should finally drain that thing, 'cause
Oh, yeah.
you never were draining that slough out quick enough, even with the intake standing, because the water would stand there, you know, and keep going. This way they have a chance to get it off a little sooner.
Well, this standard I hear from people when they pattern tile, if they don't do any testing or anything, is about 60-foot spacing.
Right.
So, I mean...
A lot of them go to 50.
Yeah, so I was like...
Okoboji's, you better think.
Yeah, that's right,
50
exactly.
to 60, sometimes
Yeah.
40. You know,
Yeah, depending on the soil.
Better use some corn cobs too.
Yeah. All right, that's a good deal.
Okay, so I thought I'd just be sure you knew we were looking at that. I think that's it, otherwise... Yeah, and I just mentioned, we're out there now on DD6 digging up the tile. Denver was sending over a guy. For us to parallel a tile, we gotta know where it's at.
On DD6.
On DD6, so we're gonna parallel it, we'll know the flow lines it's at, we'll know the size, we'll know the material. Denver had a guy available, they were gonna just bring over a machine this morning, and we have guys meeting them down there. They were gonna meet at 8:30 this morning and get started. So, we've got a little more topography to get out there too, so we'll get all that accomplished in the next 2 days.
Got a question for you.
Yeah.
I was just looking at a bulkhead the cement bulkhead's right on the railroad fence line. Back in, I looked up the pipe, you can see in there a ways, it's moved, the water's come underneath the bulkhead. We were discussing whether just to rip that bulkhead out, put a pipe in, and put riprap on it. It's a 16-inch clay.
Oh, it's not very big even.
No, and what the farmer's been doing, he's been driving around the dredge ditch using the railroad right-of-way as a driveway to get to the other part of the land.
So it's washing out.
Sure.
He has no other access.
So I was debating whether just to extend it downstream into the field, into the ditch, fill in the ditch and put a new pipe in so he can cross on the
To get him
property.
so he can cross.
So he ain't crossing the railroad right-of-way.
Cross on the railroad property.
Causing
That's
problems.
Right.
That's just a...
That'd be the correct way to put
issue.
it.
It sure sounds like it to me. Yeah, you'll take care of it. You're really not affecting the railroad.
We're not
Yeah.
affecting landowners' land and...
No.
Should we throw that at Doug? He's gonna be up in the Hardy area. He said he's gonna try and get to that bulkhead of ours up north.
Is he?
He's gonna try that, and he's got another project. I think he's planning, if nothing else, he'll get it first thing in the spring, I think.
Yes, right east on the railroad tracks there.
You wanna
Uh,
talk about that
oh.
idea? I don't know what
You
you
know
know
about it?
exactly.
Or you
Well,
You wanna
they
call
were
Doug
asking
Marsh on that?
by
Like,
70.
you know what your idea is?
And then you...
Yeah, I can.
You got his
That-
number?
Is that
Okay.
Okay.
pre-lit?
Yeah, the one you gave me the other day.
That's nice, you're gonna send Rick out there.
Yeah.
Save me a trip.
You volunteered, didn't you?
I'm glad you
Get
did.
along well with the Phillips anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else you wanna talk about drainage?
Yeah,
Fire?
okay.
Oh, I got one other thing too.
Well, you go first, and I'll
All
look.
right, I just got a question.
Yep.
Doing some pheasant hunting
Mhm.
east of Thor. There's a sinkhole out along the dredge ditch, and the tall grass will swallow a pickup. Who's liable for that if some dumb dinger's out there driving and falls?
Where does it fall? Is it close to the ditch, open ditch?
Yeah,
Or is it-
it's within, 75 feet of the top of the ditch, 60 feet,
Dredge ditch?
dredge ditch.
And it's open because why? Was it...
It's sucking, the surface intake suck, well, the pipe that goes through the ditch,
Right.
something's broke there somewhere, it's
That needs to be
sucking.
repaired.
Yeah, it does, but I was just wondering about that, 'cause I'm envisioning you got this tall grass, and somebody's out there driving their four-wheeler.
Well, see, that's what Dean Kitley had on his, and he
Yeah.
fell in, walked in it, I said, we'll get it fixed, and it needs to be fixed.
One of our guys broke 3 ribs. Was it this spring?
No
Yeah,
kidding.
dropped
I
in
mean,
something like
Not
that.
over
what
by
is
Hardy.
liability issues?
Please tell me it wasn't by Hardy.
No, it was one of my partners, and he's older than I am.
Where was it, not in the county?
No, no,
If it's a drainage district tile, it's a different animal. If it's private, it's different.
yeah.
All of the above.
75 feet from...
Everybody will get subpoenaed on that basis.
Oh, yeah, they want
Sure.
to.
75 feet from the top of the ditch, though, would put you out side of what you typically call right-of-way.
True.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, from center line.
So do you
15
think
to
that's
20
one
feet
that
on
would be
top.
private?
Good chance of it.
I probably should get out and take a look at it.
But you could, how do you know on
Well,
this when
it's just
they...
a mile downstream from the beaver dam. That
Oh, is it that way?
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
have to say that, I said, we're working on that.
Brian
Mile to
Myers,
the-
wasn't it?
East? Down?
Usually the varmints go
East,
in and out.
mile
they can
further
feed
east
because
and to
they
the
use
south.
it, they can raise them.
Down by Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, east of,
Coyote really like it, 'cause they.
southeast of the beaver dam, I could find it on a plot map.
Well, are there many like that, Rick, that are private then? Very many?
Very many,
If it's a private tile
Surface
site.
drains like that are?
oh, yeah, well...
There's more than you think.
Is that actually a surface drain, or is it...
I don't know. My
Okay.
son was telling me about it, I haven't
Okay.
actually seen it, but
That sounds more like a shifting of tile or something where it
sucking.
offset enough, now it can suck dirt
Okay, so
anytime
it
you
may
get
not be
rain.
a surface drain.
Yeah, I don't, they didn't know what
Right.
it was, but it's in the,
Well, at least, you know,
Sounds like it'd be
I
a
guess
tile.
the best part there would be to at least let the farmer be, ask if he even knew about it, and
Yeah.
if he wants to do something.
I'll go see.
There's
I'll
Doug's
take a look
number
at it.
there.
When it freezes, drive your four-wheeler down through it once, and then you'll find out how many of these you got.
Okay,
They're prevalent, and there's a lot more private by far than
Yes.
there is mains, county.
okay, right here.
Yeah.
You catch it right off of there.
Uncle Ed put
All right,
that in 50
I got a
years
couple
ago,
questions,
hasn't done anything since.
Landowner was asking Trish, and I know the landowner, I was probably gonna get back to him anyway, but, on my own, but he was wondering what typical cost is for ditch cleanup. My thinking would be, if it's, you know, it's, most of these haven't been done for over 50 years, I'm sure this one probably hasn't. This is a pretty good sized ditch, but I said on a minimum clean out, it's probably gonna be $10 to $15.
That'd be
An average
small.
would be close to 25, and
25 to 30.
excessive would be 30, 35? What would you say?
Yeah, any more that it's not uncommon to get up to $30.
Okay, that's probably what I'm
Because there's
asking.
just pipe work and stuff that you
That's
don't
what you
count
run
on.
into.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to Marv about, did he come in and ask you about a ditch clean out? So I'll talk to him for you.
If it's something you can just do hourly, you keep the costs way down, but,
But it's just a range.
yeah.
That being said, I mean,
Yeah,
I know what
yes.
he's after, 'cause the ditch he's talking about, there's areas where there's been some sloughing off. I don't think the whole ditch is just extremely plugged or needing
Right.
cleaning, but, I mean, it's probably a $25 charge, and then a lot of it will determine how many acres are in that thing, too. That makes, you know, if there's only 1,000 acres or
Oh, yeah, yeah.
2,500, so.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a lateral.
It's just his? Oh, really?
Mhm.
So that's how many acres? Wouldn't be that,
I'm not sure.
300-400 probably, that's what I think it's at. Okay, so then it would be a little more expensive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And if the outlet hasn't been cleaned, you aren't gonna just do the one lateral, if
No.
it's south of where I think it is.
Yeah,
When the water's 20 foot wide, I don't think it'll take any
All right.
long,
I'll
an
just-
engineering report on it.
I'll have it.
Those are pretty simple.
well, yeah, the cost for the engineering part wouldn't be that.
No,
I mean,
no.
if that's what they were worried about, he doesn't have to do it. You know, you don't have to do it once you, I mean, somebody'd have to pay for the engineering report, but he wouldn't
Yeah.
have to do it if he didn't think it was the right thing.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that was one question. The other question I had a landowner call from, well, it'd be the project north of Renwick, where we've done that ditch clean outs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Finished that last
18,
lateral,
I think?
and we did a reclass, correct, on that?
Yes.
And the landowners,
Looks like a spider.
you know, when you reclass that, are we shifting a little bit more benefit to the ones closer to the ditch than what, 'cause that was his concern. He couldn't understand why that was gonna go up. Would you explain that again, how we're doing that, or what's the reason?
The ones closer to the ditch end up a little higher typically because it's the kind of ground. Those old ditches stayed in the very low ground when they picked out a route to follow, snakes all over the place.
That's how you said it. I know you said something about this
Yeah.
one.
You know, some of these, well, you can see, you don't go very far without a turn in any of those open ditches. It's because they found a route to follow the low areas. And the low areas are the soils that typically get the higher points per acre. So it just naturally ends up with the ones closer paying a bigger percentage.
But bigger than...
Because of their proximity.
No,
No, and I think that's kinda what he was trying to say, is that, am I
That's just-
correct on that?
Just because I'm closer to the ditch.
No.
Means I get charged more.
because
for their
it's
area.
hard, you know, I mean...
So you're saying it's still based, those are in areas where the soil types needed the most help?
Yes. If,
But that was classified in the beginning, why are we shifting a little more towards that now? is what
No,
I'm saying?
actually, what's happened
That's what I
through the
need.
last 20 years is that we spread it out further. The ones contributing water but not right next to the ditch are paying more than they used to.
Okay.
It used to be, the original classifications had the people right along the ditch probably paying 90% of the cost.
All right.
Yeah,
High
swamp.
level wet swamp.
There you go, those were the classifications that they
They got
used.
rid of surface water, they had nothing.
Nothing, it was a lake, it was a swamp, yeah.
And now what you're saying, because we're reaching out,
Yeah.
tiling more, that's...
Yeah, everybody's
So
tiling.
that's probably where, he was on the top end of this, wasn't he? I believe. Okay, and that's
Yeah.
why he got a little higher. So, I said, just write a letter if you have a question, and when we have the hearing here coming up, and his son was gonna be here, I said, just go through this with, I'll just let you go through this.
Yep, we can talk through it on the reasoning and how that works.
That's all I
It's
got.
still based upon,
Benefit.
Benefit, yeah, and soils are a huge part of that, as far as I'm concerned,
Okay,
so.
all right.
Other questions for Rick before you depart? If you have something you want to say?
Yes, please, I'd like to have a couple minutes of
You
your
bet,
time.
front and center.
I came and settled up with Trish the other day on this drainage thing, and you signed the papers, and I ended up with, I turned in my claims.
Right.
We stood here and talked about it, that we thought everything was fair, that's fair, other than putting the tile in to fix the little pond.
Correct. We weren't gonna do that.
Right. But there was absolutely nothing but the physical crop damage is all you paid. And you guys stood right here and said, you know, the damage to that 80 was phenomenal compared to everybody else's, and all the trouble I had combining the corn and planting the beans and spraying the beans, and yet you circled the physical bean loss, the physical corn loss, and there was no other damage allowed. Why was that? I thought we had some kind of an agreement when I left here that day.
Rick, did that go back to the compaction? It got back to the amount you're paying on this temporary right of
For
way,
the,
correct?
yeah, for the right-of-way, yeah, for, the appraisal report had numbers in there allowing for compaction. Now, the question comes is, was that adequate?
That's how this relates to this.
Yeah, for
Well, we
his
sat right here and
condition.
talked about it, and even you said the damage to that 80 and the right-of-way was astronomical
Well, they
compared to
got
everybody else.
wider, the trucks drove on it all the time.
But was that included, was that did we get the additional acres that...
Yeah, the outside of the right of way.
Was that put into that right of way, or is that wasn't included? That's where I'm getting lost again on
I'm a
this.
little disgusted that we'd run through all this, that there was gonna be some kind of...
See, what I'm saying is, did you get numbers from Ed that showed a wider area than what the right of way?
Yes, I mean, that's where he should be compensated, if they're outside of the right of way, 'cause they allow $400 for compaction in the right of way, isn't that
Yeah,
right?
that's what we're doing now, yeah.
Permanent, then the temporary.
Yes.
But I think you had, I mean, what, I know you had, did Trish get a map of additional, the width of that area? The wider, that's what I'm getting at, I guess. I think we need that, don't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's gonna get paid $400 for the temporary right of way. If that covers it or not, I don't know. I question whether that's enough, because on mine it barely it may not, and that goes to the landowner, which I would have to approach my landowner now and see if she'd be willing to, you know, pay me something for that, otherwise I'm out. Really, all the tenants get, or the operator is that crop loss for the first year presented, and then it comes to the temporary. But I think you probably need more of we need a description on how big of an area outside of that temporary right-of-way, and that's $400 an acre.
Well,
And, yeah, I don't know.
you know, we sat here and talked about it,
Right.
and it was a pain in the ass. I mean, they cut that 80 from corner to corner, and it's not like they cut across the end of an 80.
Yeah,
Right.
That was, you run a 120-foot machine, even if you come up to that right-of-way, well, that boom's 120 feet at a 45-degree angle, so, you know, I thought we kinda had this all ironed out before, and I come in and settled up with Trish, and all it was the physical crop damage. And I thought, you know, we all sat here and said the damage to that 80 was...
Was it beyond the right of way? Did you turn that in?
I don't remember.
That's the talking point.
I don't think that was on the sheet.
I went to ASPS office and got the picture of the
Mhm.
physical crop damage. and-
Like I did, yeah.
Yeah, so above and beyond that, I don't know. You guys iron it out.
We'll have Trish look at that number again and see what number she used on the $400 per acre temporary right, and if that isn't large enough, that would be the best way to compensate us to widen that out, I mean, whatever it needs to be.
Maybe you need to submit a claim beyond the right of way.
Well, if he had the acres, he's basically was submitting that.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I'm
that's
not
what I
sure
thought
what-
was fair, and we sat here, and went through it point by point, and the only thing we disputed was the tile that I thought needed to be laid across there to fix it. And I can understand that, you know, you can't expect the county to put in a tile that, does it need it or doesn't it? Does it need just regraded, or is it
The
just for patch?
three of us will look at it and see what we can come up with, Ed.
Yeah.
We'll take another look, see what was turned in. I wanna look at it again and see what,
Because, you know, I had the soil tested, that, you know, that right of way, the fertility was like 0.
Yeah.
So we fertilized it for that, and then we were gonna regrade it. Well, don't bother regrading, I'll do it myself. I got a big tractor, I'll just get a scraper and I'll do it myself.
right.
My wife said I might as well, nobody does it suit me anyway.
Well, that's probably true, Ed. I can understand that. Rick, you and I can look at it
Yeah,
again.
we'll look at it.
Rick and I and Trish will look at it again and see if we
Yeah,
can
you
find-
say you have that map from ASCS, so go overlay it over the right of way.
She does have that.
Trish has got it, okay.
We'll
I
look
look at, she's a good keeper, she keeps everything.
She keeps
Yeah.
everything.
Yep.
We'll look it over and see what we can do.
Thanks, Ed.
All right.
See what
Okay.
develops.
See you later.
Other questions of drainage reform? Got a lot of free advice here.
And I'll just mention, we did get together with the commissioners again on DD2, main and lateral I. We've resolved the residential and commercial. Basically, it's going down,
From where we were,
yeah, from where we were, 58%, to get it within the point range I want.
I think that's fair.
That's
Yep.
good.
I think it's-
The Gilmore area?
We can't,
Yeah.
we can't,
So they
we
don't
can
do
do it,
that.
but I think that's getting a
Yeah,
lot.
and I've got calculations to show how we arrived at all those.
That's even better.
Yeah, and then the only thing we've gotta look at yet is down on the lower end, there's a lateral L, that there might be some irregularities around. So I'm hoping yet this week, I can get together with commissioners on that.
So then we could get the new reclass numbers.
Yep.
And then we could get that out there so we could get
Yes.
this thing collected
Yes,
money.
yes, yes.
And then, I'm not sure that you've probably done it yet, but if you have not, could you make a call to Mike Bowen and find out?
Oh,
if there's any- Please find out that, and get back to me next week. I mean, I want an answer from Mike. We need to find out if there was any money left in there that's gonna help pay off we need to get this for the bonding, we need to get this for everything. It's just kind of...
Yes.
Please give him a call, let's see
Yep.
where we're at on that. I mean, if it's no, if the answer's nothing, that's fine, but I'd like to know where we're at on that.
Yes. Well,
I mean, just let us know. I mean, so when we have this meeting, if there's something there, we've got something to share with
Yes.
them. If we don't have anything, we don't wanna promise them anything.
that's right, and then you can know, you'll have numbers to put together to go after the...
Because there'll be questions, there'll be a lot of questions again at that meeting.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Thank you.
Sorry, Carl, but we had a lot of
No
questions
problem.
today.
Anybody else have questions?
Nope, I'll talk to Rick after the meeting. I got a couple things I wanna visit with you.
You bet.
Hearing no more questions, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I'll second.
Those in favor of going out of drainage, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Thanks, Trish.
Come back in the general session. I think we're ready for you, Paul.
All right.
Take a little break here. while-
Couple minutes, yeah, let's have a...
Take a little break.
You have to canvass election on the...
Oh.
That's after you.
No,
But here, I got something for you.
I think that...
Yeah, it doesn't really have a particular time that we have to do
Drainage
it.
research
I think
forum.
9:41, it does say 9:45.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go up to that and see what they've
Wouldn't
got.
it be easier to do that
Yeah,
now,
it's
'cause that's
you
what
what?
the report is like.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I shut it off.
Okay, we're back to general session, we're ready for Paul Dixon.
Good morning.
Paul.
We have several, orders of business here. The first one is approved construction on county right-of-way from Tim Burris for a tile outlet in section 27, Rutland Township. What he has property on both sides of the road. On the west side of the road is his pond, across the road is, I think, a 30-inch RCP. He wants to, drain a tile into the road ditch on the east side, such that then it would become surface water drain across the road and into his own pond. It is clearly along the natural water course, it meets all the criteria for doing such. He's written an agreement with himself to allow this to happen. I, upstream owner, allow the downstream owner to do this, so if anything is sold in the future, the rights go with the tile.
Yeah.
I think he's got his ducks in a row. What we would ask him is at the time, the contractor, whoever it is, we need a proof of insurance from the contractor, otherwise he's got all his ducks in a row.
So the water go under and through the road culvert.
Well, he's just gonna put an or a tin whistle in the east right-of-way line in the road ditch, drain it.
Not crossing the road, but in the road.
He's not crossing the road, the only thing he needs in the right-of-way is to put a tin whistle into the drain. This is one of the few places in Humboldt County where it is draining into a road ditch directly across, this is...
So it's already doing that, he's just gonna put it in a...
He's gonna put a tile.
Tile to get it off.
And he's draining to himself, he's not draining to somebody else, he's got an agreement. We've done these a couple other times, in the past.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Is that water going east?
Yes.
It goes...
No,
west.
It goes west.
Goes west.
It's coming from the east going west, but I
That's
said
why
it
I was
backwards.
thinking, I've been by there 1,000 times, and I thought it was going the other
No,
way.
it's going toward the pond.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
Which
taking the
that's
pond.
what I wondered. Which would be to the west.
Which would be to the west.
Right.
The east side of the right-of-way, he's trying to drain the field to the east.
You have
It's
coffee.
seven
Yeah.
acres or whatever, the
Right.
triangular piece.
Why, I thought I misunderstood.
No, I
No, I was saying east and west and north and
Shake it
south,
off a little
up
bit.
and down.
Okay, do we want to approve him working in the right of way?
I'll make a motion to approve him doing that work in the right of way.
Second.
Motion by Rick, second by Bruce, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Second order of business is approve voucher number 3 final to Progressive Structures for work completed on project number LC 192380. That's our, out southwest, just on Chatland Blacktop. It's been well past 30 days, this would release the retainage. The final is, $2,498.26. Project total would be $83,275.50 at 101%. I don't know if this was the one, we put 14.8% more riprap in it, and we ran quite a bit more ag tile in it than we initially thought. Instead of 30 foot, what we did 47 feet. Thus were our bid quantities or bid quantity estimates, and these are the final quantities, thus the final payment.
I'll make a motion to approve voucher number 3 to Progressive Structures.
Motion made by Jerry, second by Mort, to approve final payment for Christian Structures. Under discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Approve voucher number 3 final to Riley Construction Company for work completed on project number LC 291000. There's a 0 missing there, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Because it is in the corner of the section, and it's in the northwest corner of section 10. This is up on C-26. This one is a total of $134,324.30, approved, completed, and the retainage left for this payment is $4,029.73. This one was 102% of what we bid.
Okay.
But, the grass is greening up on this one, we, got some timely rain. This is a good project, that we're still working on pavement, but other than that, we're fine.
Entertain a motion to pay voucher number 3 to Riley Construction.
So moved.
I'll second.
Second by Rick. Other discussion on this project? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, motion carried.
Finally, last agendized item is approved purchase of sand and chips for winter maintenance. In a nutshell, last year we got sand from Becker, or it came from the quarry or the quarry south of town at Gotch Park. There is, not sand available this year, so that we only have one good source that I would recommend for sand, and that's, Martin Marietta, out of the Borman pit, which we've used, for a lot of years at $6.75. However, we do have a choice on chips, but I'd still recommend just buying the chips from single source of Martin Marietta at $8.75 a ton.
Okay.
The reason being is then if we go back to, if we need more in midwinter, we can get them. And with the other source, if it was midwinter, we may not be able to get in there because they'll be closed. And I hate to go back and say, well, we didn't buy earlier, but we wanna buy now. I think that'd be, I'd recommend single source, Martin Marietta sand and chips. You can see we keep creeping on price, and that's the way this goes.
Sure.
Do I hear a motion to approve the purchase of the quote from Mary Meyer?
How many tons do we buy?
We had, I asked for 1,000 of, sand and, 250 of chips. Last year, we were a little more than that, but we have a decent pile there right now.
Just quoting to 2,000?
And well, excuse me?
2,000 on here, don't you?
Right, he's got a quote of 2,000, 'cause we would expect to use half of that. I asked for the, 1,000 in initial with, being able to come back and, get more later on. And we can only handle about that 1,200 tons and fill everything up. But what we requested was, 1,000 sand and 250 chips, about 4 to 1.
We have a motion to approve the Martin Marietta quote for chips and
So moved.
sand. Motion by Bruce,
Second.
second by Rick.
Discussion, just a second, I can answer, I knew I had it. We used 1,148.5 tons of sand last year and 235 tons of chips. So we had 1,150 and 235. But we only filled up once. We didn't go back to bat in the midwinter.
You store that 3 different sides, or one side, or would you keep it?
We actually filled Rutland up last year, and we might do that again, the bunker over there, fill it, and then, as we had a break in the weather, we hauled and distributed Rutland's out. Some went to Hardy and some went to Humboldt, 'cause Bode was fine, I believe. We just used it as, we mixed it, filled it at the time, and then moved it around later on. But otherwise, we have Bode, Hardy, and Humboldt.
Those in favor of the motion to approve the quote for sand and chips, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Paul, is that Riley construction project, is he coming back to fix that? He hasn't been there yet, has he?
No, Riley has met their obligations per the spec. Per the spec on that patching, we
Yeah,
did not have a
I was gonna say
smooth
that,
it, we
right.
spec'd it as pavement, and we didn't spec it as patching. The pavement, we spec'd without smoothness, all right? So you...
I thought he said he was gonna come back. and-
Right, not Riley, but the sub that did the work is, coming back. He's who's pouring our patches, thinks he's gonna mill, I think, is what his, he's gonna profile it first and then mill.
So,
We'll have to see.
yeah.
What we learned is if we're gonna do that, we spec patch or we spec pavement with smoothness, the smoothness incentive. In other words, and they do it just like pavement. We didn't put it, didn't think we needed it. So we're dealing with it.
Yeah, I think you'd be hearing some complaints from semi drivers.
Yeah, well,
Farm tractors.
we got what we bid and paid for, now we're trying to get better. Other items that are not agendized, if I may, we talked about potentially using a cast-in-place option on an upcoming precast box project that we have to be lit right before Thanksgiving. talking to the contractors in place, it'd probably be closer to 30 days or more, working days.
Sure.
10 pours, and that gets us thinking of next summer with potentially five boxes going and the paving. We're a little worried about trying to handle inspection on both. We would need to be doing concrete inspection with both of the projects, and if they're on top of each other, we would be in a mess, because we'd need air pots to be able to take air. We don't have the equipment or the manpower to do it, so at this point, I'm drawing back and not wanting to try to do a cast-in-place option on this particular one, because I don't want us obligated for inspection on two things going at the same time that require the same manpower and equipment.
How long does it take somebody to get up to speed so they can be inspector when you're through?
What would it cost to hire the inspection done?
$60 an hour.
How much training do you need?
They'd have to be out there 10 times, being say pouring 10
Well, you
times.
need one in the plant and you need one on site, so you need two of them.
How much training does it take one of your employees?
The employees, it takes, a week, 2 weeks of training and then updates at least. 2 weeks and 2 days, I think, is what the last answer was
So
on
three of
that.
you are up to speed for that?
2 of us are up to speed. I don't have it.
Okay.
Never used to have it, now I don't count, so, I either need to go through the thing or, Problem with staff doing it is, we can't lock them into having to do it. That's not in their, contract. And it gets iffy and gets dicey. The thing we'd have to do is hire it.
Yeah. I wonder if we still shouldn't look at it and then figure they had the cost of hiring in there, or do you think it won't even be close?
Well, I don't like to leave those decisions up until after the fact. I would recommend that we consider this, down the road when we're outside a paving cycle. Because if we have precast and cast-in-place boxes going, and we don't have paving going, then we're probably better. Then we can handle it, and do the inspection and, the construction side of the thing. But with what we're gonna have with the aggressive construction season next year anyway, let's take the project, leave it at realistically 10 working days of precast.
Yeah.
Be done with it out. I mean, we can stake it all, we can make periodic inspections, we can see what they've done with the precast. But cast in place, we have to be at the plant and at the site with every rebar bent, as he aptly pointed out.
Paul, you said it'd take 2 weeks. What kind of training? Where do they have to go for that?
Aggregate 1, aggregate 2, PC1, PC2, and I think it's at least 2 weeks through DOT.
That's for life then, if they just
No.
have updates each year.
You know, you have updates that you have to go every 3 years, you have to take and start over. Every 5 years, you have to do the aggregate again, so you start with some of it again.
So by the time you did that, you'd be better off doing what Rick said.
Hire it done, because we have...
You're just spending way too much time trying to train.
Right.
Yeah.
We're on overload, and to do for a one-time, we typically don't have this problem. We have in the past, when we've had sicknesses or whatever, we've called on our neighbors, and somebody's done it, filled in for a plant monitor, for instance.
You do projects a year round, that's the only thing you've done, then it'd be worth training.
Yeah, but, one contractor wasn't too keen on it, and the other guy is the one that's pushing this. The one that's pushed it in the past really wasn't that interested in this size of a structure anyway. He's looking for the bigger ones, so they have bigger pours instead of an 8x8. He likes 12x12s, twins, something there's a lot of cubic yards. But with what we have going, we even tried to write in, and we talked to the contractor about in the addendum, is that your schedule must be, secondary to paving. As soon as we know the pavings, you cannot have them both going at the same time, and that kinda gives this guy a ulcer too, as to somebody else telling him when he can go.
Yeah.
But physically, we can't do that either. We thought maybe it wouldn't be,
Yeah.
All right, I think it's something we need to look at, let's just detain it till another time.
Right, and if we're out there where we have, where we don't have potential, paving takes a lot of time.
Yeah, we want that done right, 'cause it's...
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a choice, we have to be, this is with federal aid, we have to have somebody in the plant, somebody on grade.
All right.
And then that ties up too.
Your degree doesn't certify you automatically.
It used to, doesn't anymore. I can't even, used to, you can inspect the bridge. Now I can close it, we can construct it and monitor it, but I can't put it back into service, which our bridge is back into service as of Friday at 10 ton at this point. We still are working with other things. I have yet to hear from the insurance company, but I'm assuming we will here soon. And unofficially, I have a retirement handed to me this morning, that we can't get, on the agenda, and we'll formally act on it next week, but next week I would be, bringing you a proposal to start the process for transfers. And we'll formally start the process for transfers, because I'm gonna assume that we're gonna hire somebody back, but we need the transfer first. But if we're not gonna hire anybody back, then we don't wanna start the transfer process, because then we best look at where our personnel are located right now and make sure we got them where we want them. But, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say we wanna hire somebody back, and I'm gonna argue for that if we don't. He gives us till December 1st.
He served us well.
No, and that's good. He's been talking and he's trying to maximize all of the, retirement things, and that's great. And
He can maybe come back and help us part-time.
Absolutely.
And there's the kind of guy you want on your part-time, when you're part-time.
No, he's trying to not get up at 5 in the morning, and I said, what time did you get up Saturday morning?
5.
5?
No,
I said, you still will.
Okay, anything else for Paul? Anything else for general safety before we go to board of canvas? I entertain a motion to recess into the board of supervisors to convene the board of canvas.
So move.
Motion by Bruce,
Second.
second by Rick. Those in favor of going in board of canvas, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Same board is here. Peggy?
There are 13 different cities, so I don't know how you guys wanna split it.
We'll work it out.
Yep.
I want the little
You
one.
wanna take a break from this?
Oh, come on. 13. Yeah.
And then there's one.
And they're changing
And there's a lot of things for you to sign afterwards.
I'll take 3.
There's 13.
Yep, 13.
So, we'll put Carl off the hook.
So some will have to get 2 and someone, or...
I'm busy, yes, they know.
You're busy?
Just take 3 and pass them down. We can-
And
these are gonna
as
be
like
easy.
we've done in the past.
Okay, that says Humboldt 1 and 2.
Yep.
And those are separate, aren't they?
They're separate.
All right.
So when you read them to me, I've highlighted what precinct you are, so you'll know, make sure you let me know
It's a lot
that.
easier.
And then the candidate names and then the write-in numbers.
I see that.
So how far down the list, you have to read them all?
Yes.
Yep.
It's just a lot
And we've
easier
already
than
done
ticker
4,
tapes.
so...
Yeah.
four-
Take 3 and give 4 to Bruce, and we'll let
We
Carl
will
off the
have
hook.
to stop whoever gets Brad beat, because we have to do a drawing for names, because there's
Oh,
time.
there we
I
go.
was let off the hook when I was doing that.
Alright.
I know.
All right, I have a goal.
Objection?
Sounds like it.
We'll start with Bode then?
Okay?
Protest the
Yeah.
chairman
I don't know how
on
many
that.
there are.
Yeah, he's gonna have to draw.
I gotta draw names.
All right, this is for Bode and for the mayor, I believe. Yep.
I was in Pioneer.
39 votes. Royden Miller had 39,
Okay.
and we show no write-in votes and 1 undervote.
Yeah, and under the votes, I don't...
Don't have to worry about, okay. And Bode council member,
Mhm.
we had a total of 166. Mark Dale had 26, Bud Douglas, 27, Paula Fullwider, 32, Christopher Robertson, 33, Dave Tilges, 32, write-in votes were 16. All right, here we go with Bradgate. For mayor, we had 12 votes, 6 for Kim Schultz, and 6 write-ins. And then for council member, there was 27 total, Stephanie Johansson, 5, Joel Hernandez, 4, Bernard Twilliger, 4, and 14 write-in votes. Bradgate council member, 27 total, Kim Schultz had 4, Aaron Beckendorf had 3, Michael Elder had 3, and write-in votes 17.
Okay, so for the council member at large position, you were supposed to vote for 2. two people ended up with 4 votes, Joe Hernandez and Bernard Twilliger. Make sure I have Joe and Bernard there, and then fold them and put them in here. According to Iowa code, if you have a tie, you have to draw out of a hat. Well, we grabbed somebody's hat, yeah.
We have an island there over here, don't we?
Not very hygienic in today's world.
Jerry?
Well, it looks fairly clean, I'm with brand new Iowa hat.
All right, somebody's either gonna like me or not like me.
That's right, Joe Hernandez. So we will get a certificate ready for him. Okay, then the second one, the council member at large to fill vacancy, it was vote for no more than 2. Kim Schultz had 4, but Aaron Beckendorf and Michael Edler both had 3 votes. So we also have to draw for that one.
You did such a good job, Jerry.
Oh, gee, Aaron will shoot me.
Get him out of there.
All right, gotta find one, I guess.
Okay, Aaron Beckendorf.
Okay.
And that was the only city that you had to draw out of, so.
All right, Dakota City for mayor. Don Fallison, 33, and that was it. And then for council members, vote for 3, we had 90 votes, 32 for Billy Ford, 29 for Justin Kirkhoff, 29 for Barbara Nelson.
And no write-ins.
And no write-ins.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, you're done.
Okay, I have Gilmore City. Gilmore City Mayor, got David R. Miller with 20, Dennis Miller, 89, and 1 write-in vote. Gilmore City Council Member, says vote for 3. Got Brittany Dickey with 97, Paul J. Fields with 66, Denny Frederickson with 62, Levon Hoover with 59, Tim Smith with 44, and 3 write-in votes. Okay, and we'll move on to Hardy. Hardy Mayor, we have Dennis Lipple with 9, 1 write-in vote. Hardy City Council, vote for 3. Terry L. Surwick, 7. Leonard T. Ferry, 9. Christina Harder, 9, and 2 write-ins. That's it for Hardy. And then for Humboldt District 1. For mayor, we have Barry Ellis with 7, Walt Jensen with 75, Danny Scholl with 290. Humboldt Council Member Ward 1, we have Jim Vermeer with 70, and then 44 other write-ins. Humboldt Park Board Commissioner, it's a vote for 3. Lance DeWinter, 320. Mike Worthington, 270. Tom Tecklenburg, evidently that W stands for write-in,
Yes.
is it?
Mhm.
54. And then there were 16 other write-in votes. Okay.
Humboldt 2,
Okay,
mayor, was Barry J. Ellis, 10, Walt Jensen, 45, Scholl with 237, and write-in 0. Humboldt Council Member Ward 2, John Slater, 260, write-in votes, if any, 7. Humboldt Park Board Commissioner, Lance DeWinter, 251, Mike Worthington, 214, Tom Tecklenburg, 38, and write-ins, 20. Okay, Humboldt 3, mayor, Barry J. Ellis, 14, Walt Jensen, 49, Daniel Scholl, 224, write-in 1. Humboldt Council Member, Ward 3, Joe Goodell, 241, write-in 4. Humboldt Park Board Commissioner, Lance Warner, 242. Mike Worthington, 198. Ted Kronberg, 23. Write-ins, 28. And Livermore, Mayor, George McMahon, 15. Eldon Randall, 51. Write-ins, if any, 5. Livermore Council Member, Kelly S. Strock, 35. Janice Schneider, 48. Write-ins, if any, 38. That was it.
Addison, for mayor, there's 20 votes. I got Monty Newton, 17. Write-ins, 3. For Addison Council, 85 votes. There was 15 for Frank Hacker, 15 for Dan Bennett, 15 for Jan Brown, 15 for Jason Fowler, and 13 for Veronica Fowler. Then there was 12 write-ins. So we needed 5, they all got them? 2?
That's it.
Yep.
Mhm.
This is Pioneer. For mayor, there was 7 votes. Ivan Henrich, 7 votes. For council,
Any write-ins, any?
no, 0.
0, okay.
For council, there was 21 votes. Roger Stringer, 7. Bonnie Stringer, 7. And Joe Henrich, 7. No write-ins. Rutland, for mayor, Roxanne Gregory, there was 23 votes, she got 21, 2 write-ins. For council, vote for 3, there was 55 votes. Mary Dahl, 17. Lucas Tilley, 23. Devin Marchant, 12. 3 write-ins. 3. And the last is Renwick. For mayor, there was 53 votes for mayor. Rick Larson, 44. 9 write-ins. For the Renwick Council, there was 85 total. Matt Dorbin, 31. Dave Smith, 20. 34 write-ins. That's it.
Okay, then that would put the totals at, City of Bode, Mayor Royden Miller is the winner. Council member, vote for no more than 5, Mark Dale, Bud Douglas, Paula Fullwiler, Christopher Robinson, and Dave Childress were all elected. City of Bradgate, Mayor Kim Schultz. Council member at large, vote for no more than 2, that'd be Stephanie Johansson and Joe Hernandez. Council member at large to fill a vacancy, vote for no more than 2, Kim Schultz and Aaron Bankendorf. Dakota City Mayor, Don Fultonson. Council member at large, vote for no more than 3, Billy Fort, Justin Kirkhoff, and Barbara Nelson were elected. Gilmore City Mayor, vote for no more than 1, David R. Miller and Dennis Miller 1. Council member at large, vote for no more than 3. The 3 top vote getters were Brittany Dickey, Paul J. Fields, and Denny Frederickson. Hardy, Mayor Dennis Lippo was elected. Council member at large, vote for no more than 3. Terry L. Serwick, Leonard T. Ferry, and Christine Harder were elected. City of Humboldt, Mayor Daniel E. Scholl was elected. Council member Ward 1, Jim Vermeer. Council member Ward 2, John Slater. Council member Ward 3, Joel Goodell. And 3 part board commissioners were Lance DeWinter, Mike Worthington, and Tom Tecklenburg. City of Livermore, Mayor Eldon Landau was elected. Council member at large, vote for no more than 2, Kelly S. Flock and Janice Schmider. Addison, vote for no more than 1 for mayor, Monty Newton. vote for no more than 5 on council member. Dan Bennett, Jan Brown, Jason Fowler, Veronica Fowler, and Frank Hacker were elected. City of Pioneer, vote for no more than 1, Ivan Henricks. Council member at large, vote for 3, Joe Henricks, Bonnie Stringer, and Roger Stringer. City of Renwick Mayor, Rick Larson was elected. Council member at large, vote for no more than 2, Matt Dornbire and Dave Smith. City of Rutland Mayor, Roxana Gregory was elected. Council member, vote for no more than 3, Mary Dahl, Lucas Tilley, and Devin Marchant. And the City of Thor, just for the press's, information, on Friday, we did the canvass for them, and Mark Rofty was elected mayor. Council member at large, 2, Chuck Narum and Colleen Corky Rosendahl, and the council member to fill vacancy was Maxine Hofer.
All right. I entertain a motion to declare the winners as stated by Peggy.
So move.
Motion by Bruce,
Second.
second by Mort. All those in favor of declaring those winners as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. I entertain a motion to go back into general.
And I was just gonna mention, just real quick, if anybody out there needs, the write-in candidates, I had some of the cities ask for the write-ins, just so they have some names for other things going on, and I typed up some lists, so if anybody wants to look at write-ins, they certainly can. We just chose not to announce them this time.
Okay, we need to adjourn as board canvas back into regular session.
I'll move we adjourn as Board of Canvas and go back into general session.
Motion by Rick,
Second.
second by Bruce. All those in favor go back into regular session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Anything else for the betterment of the organization day? Peggy, I think some of the press wondered if they can get a list of that. Is that available?
I sure can,
You can get those from Peggy then after the meeting.
Yep.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.